Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast. My name is Nate, and joining me as always is my co-host Jake. Jake, how are we doing today?
Nate, we're doing pretty good. Colin Morikawa's back in the winner's circle, not on the betting cards, and rightly so for a lot of people, just because he's proven over the last, couple years. It feels like I don't know the last time he won before this, but um, it just felt like he couldn't get it done. He had the yips. When he had to chip on 18, I was like, oh, here it goes. He's gonna do something stupid. He was able to get the putter out, and that is ultimately what I believe saved his tournament. Back in the winner's circle, super happy for Colin. Um, Very exciting down the stretch. There were a lot of people in play. I am a big Akshay believer, and I knew on Saturday when the winds were up on Sunday that he had almost no chance. I didn't vocalize that to anyone, but I just know his game, and it's not going to thrive in that. So he struggled all day on Sunday. He was really battling himself, but another good tournament under his belt, and he's a young guy. He's going to get a lot more wins on the PGA Tour. It just wasn't his week, and maybe he pushes forward and gets it done at the Genesis this week.
Yeah, I've been a Colin Morikawa truther for a long time. I wasted a lot of money on him last season, and not on him this week, as you just mentioned, but good to see him back where he belongs in the winner's circle. I mean, a premier talent, one of the best pure ball strikers of our generation. Just the way he hits his irons are phenomenal. You mentioned it though. The Yips, it was the 2023, I think, Memorial, where he had that event done and won, then gave it away to Scotty Scheffler, things like that, where he's had late leads and then an errant chip where he double bogeys a hole. I mean, he did the Masters, I think, in 23 as well, maybe even 24. Definitely 23 though. And yeah, so he's had these problems, and it always boils down to the putter for Colin Morikawa. I mean, when he was missing putts there, it wasn't by a lot, and I knew eventually he would turn around. He did, more three putts than you would like out of someone, but Colin Morikawa, again, a premier talent. Glad to see him in the victory circle. Hopefully, we can get some more of these guys in that same category. Maybe a Patrick Cantlay, someone like that, that is a premier talent, a top 10, 15 golfer in the world that just hasn't been able to get it done in the last few years. So we'll see what comes out now that maybe Colin Morikawa kind of broke down that door, just as like Cam Young did and Tommy Fleetwood won. Those kind of perennial runner ups getting it done as well. So we'll see what happens to that. But like you mentioned, great tournament overall. The wind did a lot to do with it, and it made it more interesting down the way. You mentioned it actually is kind of your resort course type of guy. We joke about that with the Colin Morikawa's the world that the wind picks up and they're kind of dead in the water, but Cullen prevailed, got it done. Even with Scotty posting a huge number on Sunday, we all thought, meh, we thought he was out of it. And then all of a sudden, we're like, oh, wait, he is not out of it. And I don't think there's ever going to be a tournament where Scotty Scheffler is actually out of it. We're thankful the last 2 weeks of, those bad first rounds have kept him in check because without those errant first rounds, he would have ran away with both the WFX Open and the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro Am. So there's that. But yeah, we move forward. The Genesis Invitational, one of like the premier flagship events, the PGA Tour, in my opinion. Riviera Country Club, so historic, so picturesque, and just a great piece of golf artwork that kind of blends the cityscapes. I won't even get to it. We'll get into it later. But yeah, it's one of those great events, of course, hosted by Tiger Woods himself, who would annually play this, of course, recovering from that ruptured ACL. I don't know if we'll ever see him back, but yeah, we do have that here. And we also have the Magical Kenya Open, which Jake and I have both been vocal about and being one of our favorite events of the year. Different course this year. We'll see what happens with the wildlife and that nature. But yeah, before we do have any things, Jake, where can people find you on social media?
Yep, you can find me on X at JakeOOTR, where I post all my outright betting cards. Make sure you give me a follow there. You can also join the Out of the Rough Discord, which is completely free with no hidden paywalls. We've got over 270 members in there now, from diehard golf fans to professional gamblers, all sharing insight that makes it an awesome free resource to have every single week. Nate runs our community wager tracker in the Discord, where he compiles everyone's picks into one clean list. It's great seeing who the community is backing and ultimately celebrating the winners. So a quick shout out to last week. We have NWine00 for hitting Colin Morikawa at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Only one in the Discord to do it. He got a lot of praise for that. So again, another shout out to him. Nate and I also share exclusive content in the Discord, including my tournament and round matchups. Shameless plug here, was not a good outright week for me, but I ended up 8.5 units on the week, and that all came from matchups. So again, just another plug there. Those have been very good to me so far. Nate also posts his first round leader bets. If you want the link to join the Discord, feel free to reach out to either of us. And don't forget to check out ootrough.com for our weekly articles. Andrew covers the Hotel Planner Tour and Corn Ferry Tour. Nate covers the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, Live, and LPGA, and I cover the PGA Tour, including some DFS content. You'll also find Nate's strokes gain data by grass type on the website, another completely free resource to have. And a quick shout out to our partner here, Cody, for hitting Tyler. Is it Tyler Reddick? Redlick?
Yep,
Reddick?
Reddick.
Yep, Reddick on NASCAR. So believe that was a 40 to 1, 45 to 1,
Mhm.
a solid number next to his name and a good finish for him. So shout out to him too.
Yeah, the Discord again, completely free. So much information there, not only from Jake and I, but just from every member, top to bottom, every bit of information that you can find in there. And we discuss golf pretty much 24/7. Mondays are hectic as everyone's placing their bets. They're discussing, throwing names out there. We're like, what do you think about this guy this week? What do you think about this guy this week? And we get insight from everyone. And again, the community wager tracker is a fun way to track everyone's bet, get each other across the finish line. And then with the Daytona 500 this week, well, the NASCAR content ramped back up. Of course, Cody runs that. You mentioned hit a winner already. He's been he's very knowledgeable about the sport itself, but he's been profitable, I think, all of the last 2 or 3 years. So if you're looking for another way to make some money, hop into the Discord and we'll help you there. You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at NateOOTR. Be sure to follow Out of the Rough on all forms of social media. Just search Out of the Rough, you'll find us there. And yeah, if you're listening on YouTube, if you're watching YouTube, excuse me, hit the subscribe button for us. It's a good way to help us get pushed out over there. And yeah, the website, ootrough.com. Jake went over everything there, but you can also find the Out of the Rough one and done on there, which is free as well. A nice, fun competition where you play a different golfer each week. We do this for the PGA Tour and DP World Tour this season, and then prize money is scoring. So it's just a nice way to get maybe you're not fully into betting, just a nice introduction to get yourself into the space. And if you're not a DP World Tour follower, maybe you're a PGA Tour guy, it's a way to get introduced to some of those guys there. And eventually, some of those guys will be on the PGA Tour. So it's a nice way to track that as well. So, yeah, with that being said, let's move on to the content this week. The flagship event of this week is the Genesis Invitational at Riviera Country Club, of course. Absent from the schedule last year because of the wildfires in the Los Angeles area, we played Torrey Pines for a second time in 3 or 4 weeks because of that. But we're back at the Riviera this week, which is a welcome sight. It's one of the most notable and recognizable golf courses the PGA Tour has to offer. It is. I talked about in the introduction. It's just a beautiful piece of golf architecture that it's built right into Los Angeles, but you couldn't tell that there's a city around it the way it's constructed. But yeah, we this is our second of 8 signature events. ATT Pebble Beach last week being the first. So of course you have your $20 million purse, 3.6 million to the winner, all of the jazz along the way. We mentioned that Tiger Woods is the host, and this is all the accolades we have of Tiger Woods throughout all of his career. This is just not one of them. He has never won here at Riviera Country Club, despite making his PGA Tour debut here in 1992. But yeah, field this week. We know what we're getting this week at this point. The signature event fields will pretty much be exactly the same for the entire season, outside of a few, Aeon Swing 5 type of guys moving in and out. But, if you watched last week, it's pretty much the same exact field this week. Maybe a few different sponsor exemptions along the way, but you got it. Ludwig Oberg, defending champion, of course, that was at Torrey Pines, so you can take that as you will. The last winner at Riviera Country Club was Hideki Matsuyama, and Jake, you remember this. This was a masterclass Matsuyama final round. Just the ball striking and the approach play was unmatched, just placing the ball 1, 2 foot away from every single hole and running away with this tournament back then. It was a great showing and just a fun thing to watch as a golf fan along the way. We also have Max Homa, who won here in 21, and Adam Scott, who won here in 2020 and 2005 at this event. So the Riviera Country Club, par 71 at 7,322 yards. It is a course that requires a well-rounded game to succeed here. So even in the best days, Riviera presents one of the most challenging courses we'll see across the world of golf, especially when it comes to non-majors, especially. Put in perspective how daunting this course can be. The cut line for the last decade has been above par. The first of its defenses are extremely narrow fairways that progressively get narrow the closer to the green. On top of the fairways being extremely narrow, the courses too is littered with tight dog legs. Riviera ranks in the bottom 2 courses in average driving accuracy every single season since 2015. The high missed fairway percentage also plays into the fact that Riviera offers one of the lowest greens and regulation percentages on the PGA Tour as well. Once a golfer misses the fairways, you're going to find themselves in the unpredictable Kikuyu rough, which is quote unquote tends to stick to the club. It is hard to correct your ball out of that rough. So we have some challenges beyond that off the tee. You're going to have to take off some of your distance. You're going to have to find some accuracy, maybe take an iron or a wood opposed to a driver off a lot of these holes. So roughly 75% of approach shots will come from beyond 150 yards. So you want those long irons dialed up this week. This course also offers a good amount of elevation changes and is heavily bunkered, both the fairways and around the green. And then once you're on the green, the challenges don't go away. The greens are a tricky, fast and firm POA that is designed to give even the best golfers in the world fits. The course ranks in the top five for most missed putts, both inside and outside 15 feet. So yeah, and then you're gonna tune in the first hole. Don't get yourself excited because the opening par five, hole one, is one of the easiest. It annually ranks as the easiest par five on the entire PGA Tour. It's a downhill par five that is easy to birdie or even eagle. So once your guy gets out there, hole one, and post the eagle, you're like, oh, we're going low today. It's kind of like a false hope type of thing to get like another mental game this golf course has to offer. But Jake, anything to add before we move forward?
Just one joke that's been floating around my golf group chat was like you mentioned, hole one is very easy, and my friend had the opposite, where he was just like, if your golfer pars hole one, your tournament is over.
Yeah.
So as easy as you think it might be if your guy birdies or eagles, it could very well be over in quotes if your guy pars it. So, but yeah, I think we covered it all. I think it's going to be a great event this week, Nate.
Yeah, par and hole one's essentially a bogey because you're going to lose strokes on the field.
Yep.
All right, guys. So I have four guys this week. Jake has three. We have one crossover, so I'll skip that guy and I'll lead off things here with Patrick Cantlay at 28 to 1. And I'm going with a smaller card this week. I mentioned it four guys there because I'm going two guys on the top. But yeah, Patrick Cantlay was my first click this week, as sad as that may sound. But Colin Morikawa got it done, so we can only hope Patrick Cantlay can follow suit here. Good course form. That's what I went off here. He placed fourth in 2024, third in 2023, 33rd in 2022, 14th in 2021, and 17th in 2020. Also placed 14th last week at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Missed a cut of the Farmers, but also placed 13th at the American Express. Currently on tour, 5th in green regulations. He's 7th in bogey avoidance, 9th in scrambling, 12th on approach, 13th in par 4s, 33rd in good drives, 39th approximate hole for 150 plus, 40th around the green, 47th in sand saves, and 80th in strokes gained putting on POA. Again, good course form. We saw Colin Morikawa got it done. I think Patrick Cantlay now has a bit of a, thought in his head that my time is now as well. Colin got it done. They're kind of, I think the last victories were kind of around the same time. Off the
Yeah.
top of my head, I don't know, but I think they're rather similar and they're kind of like the same age golfers kind of came up together. So I think there is a bit of Patrick Cantlay being like, oh, Colin got it done. Now is my time. A course I've had a ton of success at. Haven't had a win yet. Everything lines up for Patrick Cantlay this week at 28 to 1.
Yeah, Nate, that's what I was researching while you were talking. Patrick Cantlay's last win came in 2022 at the BMW Championship, so it has been a long time for Cantlay. But like you said, the course history is phenomenal. It's a sticky course history as well, so generally when you're playing well at this course, you tend to do it a lot. So Cantlay has proven that. He's an eight-time PGA Tour winner. I know he hasn't gotten in the winner's circle recently, and that's why I ultimately crossed him off, but he was definitely on my short list. And a guy that if he beats me, I'm happy that he finally is back. I mean, how fun would it be, Nate, if we get Morikawa back in the winner's circle, Cantlay back in the winner's circle. We have Fleetwood and Cam Young who won last year. Like it feels like the lid is coming off for some of these guys, and Cantlay could be the next candidate here.
Yeah, we can hope so. We have those guys, the Sam Burns of the world, those type of guys that we like deem top 10, top 15 players in the world. They just haven't got it done in 3 or 4 years. But again, Colin Morikawa got the lid off the jar. Let's hope that Cantlay can follow suit.
Yep, definitely. Moving into the next play here, this is a crossover play. It's Tommy Fleetwood. I got him at 25 to 1. I believe you got
I think I'm
22.
22.
Yep. He ranked eighth in my model this week. It should come as no surprise. It honestly should be higher. He's a guy who's just a statistical darling, for lack of better terms. I know we say that a lot, Nate, but after closing his DP World Tour campaign on a pretty disappointing note, in my
Yeah.
opinion, he opened the 2026 PGA Tour debut last week with a very impressive T4 finish. He played Riviera Country Club four times in his career. He made the cut in all four appearances, and he improved every single time he's played. Up until the two most recent ones, he had a T20 in 2023, a T10 in 2024. So that upward trend is exactly what I'm looking for at Riviera. He's, again, like I mentioned, a statistical standout. Driving distance is what leaves a little bit to be desired, but again, he's about tour average, and everything else is well above tour average in the sense of driving accuracy, approach around the green, and putting. So there's a lot to love about Tommy every single week. And like I mentioned, he's one of the guys who popped the lid, and I think a lot of wins are going to be coming in the future for Tommy. On the season, I know he only had one tournament, but second in strokes gained total, 42nd off the tee, 21st on approach, second around the green, and 50th putting. I think that it's coming. Tommy is gonna take the tour by storm now that he's won once. I think he's gonna get a couple early on this season.
Yeah, and he's one of the like kind of rare people who can compete at any given golf course. He can do the
Yeah.
birdie fest. He can do the grind it out fest. There is no like lapse in his game outside of what used to be the inability to close. We know he can do that now. Won the tour championship last season. Right there with you, Jake. I just think this guy is too good to keep down. 22-1 in a field like this. I know Scotty Scheffler and the Rory McIlroys and things like that, but I just saw a stat before we hopped on here that the likes of Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler have never won at this golf course, right? So
Yep.
this is a golf course where the world number one, the best golfers in the world, may not come in here and run away with it or compete. Really, I know we have Scotty Scheffler in this field who probably going to make me eat my words there and win this by 12 strokes. But either way, this is an event that seems like kind of that tier below the super elite guys that come out here firing. I think Tommy Fleetwood is really alive to win this event.
Agreed.
All right, so I'm going to move into my next play here. I'm going with a guy that we mentioned in the opening with Akshay Bhatia at 60-1. Hot topic because of, he had two chances basically to win golf tournaments the last 2 weeks. Great performances at 18 Pebble Beach with a 54-hole multi-shot lead there. Ultimately finishing sixth. Prior to that, third at the WM Phoenix Open as well. Missed cuts the Farmers and the American Express. But either way, he's 11th on tour in strokes gained putting POA, which blew me out of the water. I know the sample size for POA is rather small because they only play a handful of rounds there each year. And again, on the PGA Tour website, if you miss the cut, your strokes game don't count. Either way, he's getting it rolling on POA with that broomstick handle putting style. 13th in sand saves, 39th around the green, 40th in green regulations, 41st on approach, 43rd in good drives, 40th in bogeys, 58th in par 4, 78th in scrambling, 95th approximate hole for 150 plus. Making his tournament debut this week, which is a little daunting. I'm not sure the full stats on how people usually do here in their debut. But either way, this is a real talent. We talk about him already, right? If the conditions stay ideal, I think he's live again to win. He is scorching hot. That putter is rolling. And again, it's always been, saying this again, it's always been the putter for Akshay. Get the putter rolling. You know what you're going to get out of him. And that broomstick handle's been treating him rather well. I know last week towards the end it didn't, but again, no one could putt in those greens with the winds pulling your ball every direction. No matter what read you had, there was no way you were going to make the right one because the wind was moving the ball. Either way, 60-1 for Akshay. I thought was great value this week. So that's my next play.
Yeah, Nate, I love it. 60-1 is a big number. And like you said, tournament debut, but I think that's totally baked into the number and makes it just very fair all around. Akshay is one of those guys that when he's playing good golf, it comes in flurries. So he'll put together four, five, six good appearances in a row, and then he'll miss a couple cuts and cool off. But he's a 24-year-old off of two back-to-back great finishes, a T3 and a T6. I think it's a great shout. He's gaining across the board, and like you said, if conditions remain calm, it's his for the taking because he is in phenomenal form.
We could only hope.
Yes. Moving into my next play here, this is a guy that I had circled from the end of last year to play at this event. And unfortunately for me, he's already won twice on the PGA Tour. It's Chris Gotterup, 35-1. Riv is the perfect place for Gotterup. Like I had him circled and I said no matter what, I don't care what the number is, I am betting Chris Gotterup. I don't know where he's going to come into my model. I don't care. This is a guy who I think is going to win. He popped six in my model. He's won twice on the PGA Tour already. First click off the board. I thought 35 was fair for a guy like him. And look, winning three times in what is it, like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is crazy. But I think that this is the course that suits his game the best out of any course that we've seen so far on the PGA Tour season. Um, I don't feel like I have to add more to that, Nate. I feel his strokes gain data on the year, six strokes gain total, fifth off the tee, 33rd on approach, ninth around the green, and 92nd putting. The 92nd putting is a little bit of a concern, but at the same time, these greens are super tricky. Everyone's going to be struggling with them. All the other stats are aligning. If he can catch himself with a hot putter, like we've seen twice already this year, I think that he could definitely win this tournament.
I mean, what am I going to say to combat a two-time winner through 4 or 5 events on the PGA Tour this season? And both those victories, right? They were improbable victories. Like they come from behind Sony, and then he had less than a 1% chance of winning at WM Phoenix Open. Even through the 18th tee, Hideki gave that tournament to him. So if you're
Yep.
going off the merit that it's so hard to win three times, those first two were kind of quote unquote flukes, right? It wasn't like he went out and won those events hand over foot. It was kind of give it to him, especially that WM Phoenix Open. The Sony Open, he chased him down. Either way, he won those two events. This is a premier guy who has still, I think he has a chip on his shoulder. He feels like he should have been on that Ryder Cup team. He is
Yep.
playing some of the best golf in the entire world. It's so fun to see. And this is what the United States, I know I'm just going to jump to the Ryder Cup here. These are the type of guys that the United States needs. We need to stop with the good old boys club, the same 12 guys each year. We need the Chris Gotterups of the world and maybe the Maverick Dealys, those type of guys to really get fire and get themselves going. And so far, Chris Gotterup's pulling his weight.
Yep.
All right, final play from this for me this week. I'm going Shane Lowry at 75 to 1 simply because I like pain. Every time I'm on Shane Lowry, it looks good through 54 holes and it falls apart. Even earlier this year on the DP World Tour, I was on him at the first Dubai event, the Dubai Invitational. He plays T3. He had a 54-hole lead and lost that event. Either way, Shane Lowry, it's so hard to get this guy right. I mean, this is a guy who only has two PGA Tour victories, and he's treated like he's some kind of elite talent. But 75 to 1's a massive number. I know second event of the season. Good season debut last week at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro Am with a eighth place finish there as well. I mentioned he was on the DP World Tour for two events, 26th at the Hero Dubai, T3 at the Dubai Invitational. And yeah, he's played this event once prior over the past 6 years, 14th in 2023. I'm not going to go to the stats because it's been one event, but he placed eighth at Pebble Beach, and this is a guy that the irons carry. It's all about the irons, the long irons, even everything about the iron play for Shane Lowry is always what's going to propel him to a good finish or a bad finish. He's going to miss some putts, but when you're talking about a guy that, again, small sample size, is 15th on tour and approach, that's what you're looking for. And this is a guy who compete. He plays tough golf courses rather well. Major champion for a reason, the Open. And yeah, just a huge number for someone like Shane Lowry at 75 to 1.
Yeah, Nate, I love the call. And if it starts getting windy, Larry is a prime guy who
Oh, yeah.
just knows how to navigate the wind so well. He's gained with the putter in four of his last six starts. Like you said, the approach is always there for Lowry. He's got to be a little bit more consistent off the tee, but I think 75 to 1 is a huge
It's
number.
massive.
I'm a little disappointed in myself that I overlooked it. I went a different route, but uh, like you said, two-time PGA Tour victor. I'm not sure when that last one was, but it had to have been.
The Honda Classic in 21, 20, somewhere around there. When did he win the Open?
Uh,
2020, 2019?
oh, he won the Zurich in which is
Well,
a team
okay.
event in
Okay.
2024. But
His first solo victory, last solo victory was a Honda Classic, whenever that was.
yes, but yeah, I love the shout. I think it's a huge number, and again, if conditions get a little crazy, I think that Lowry is super live.
Yeah, I wanted to look up when Shane Lowry's last victory was just for my ease of thing, but it's going to take too long to get there, so I don't want to do poor podcasting and make my way there.
Totally fair. I'll move into my last play. It's Matt Fitzpatrick. I boosted him up to 50 to 1, but he on books is 40 to 1. Ranked seventh in my model. I'm going to have a serious Matt Fitzpatrick problem to start the year if he keeps up these numbers because they are insane. The approach has been so dialed for him. The off the tee has been phenomenal as well, gaining in both distance and accuracy. It's the short game that's been letting him down, but we know Fitzpatrick over the course of his career, that's his strongest part of his game. So he looks to have gotten it together with the putter a little bit. He finally started gaining with that. The around the green, he got crushed up a little bit last week, and as we mentioned before, it's going to be pretty important this week, the around the green play. So as long as he gets that short game under control, everything else is clicking in the right direction for him. Over his last 16 starts, he's just been phenomenal. I can't even begin to describe it. On the season so far, 15th in strokes gained total, 20th off the tee, fourth on approach, 99th around the green, and 111th putting. So, like I said, those first couple stats, incredible. The short game, struggling a little bit, but I'm just going to bank on the long form that he could bring that elite short game that we know he has to win this week.
Yeah, and dating back to the last part of the season last year, this is one of the hottest golfers in the entire world from winning the DP World Tour Championship, competing down the stretch of the PGA Tour, going on the Ryder Cup, competing there and all of that, doing well at the DP World Tour to start the season. Just a all around, I mean, the guy's a nerd, right? But the most statistically driven, analytically type of golfer you'll find. He's one of those guys that can like reference a shot from 3 years ago in the third round of like, you know, the Texas Children's Houston Open, like that type of stuff, where he can just pull it all out. Again, phenomenal play. And I remember when he was so bad around the green that he switched to that cross-handed chipping because he was so bad, and then all of a sudden he's one of the best in the world. That's how a golfer Matt Fitzpatrick is. If he has a weakness, he's going to figure out how to make it correct, and he has, and he is phenomenal. I mean, 50 to 1, you said a boost there, but what's he at, 40, 45, somewhere around that range? Either way,
Yeah,
that's a big
40.
number for Matt.
Yep.
And I need to redeem myself about Shane Lowry. He did not win the Honda Classic. He is very, very good at that golf course. His last victory, of course, he mentioned the Zurich. Then he was the Open in 19, and then the World Golf Championship Bridgestone Invitational in 2015. So it's been a while
Wow.
for old Shane.
Yep.
All right, that's it for the PGA Tour this week. Riviera Country Club. We move on to the aforementioned Honda Classic, which is now the Cognizant Classic, which for the second straight season, Jake will be in attendance, boots on the ground type of thing. And he told me before the show here that the field's looking pretty good with Brooks and Will Zalatoris live at that event. So that's gonna be phenomenal watch. What day are you going to the event?
I believe I'm going Saturday, either Friday or Saturday. I can't remember. Ticket bought. I have the tickets too. That's the worst
That's
part about
funny. Don't even know what day. You know you're going to be in the area at least one of those days. So there you go.
playing the Blue Monster one of those days, going to the
That's right.
course,
And that's
playing
where
the
we'll
Cognizant
the
after.
Blue Monsters will be have the Cadillac Championship later this season. So
Correct.
well, some great information there. Jay can reference what rough he missed every hole on to the right, and
Yeah, which water I was in.
yeah, which water, which sand bunkers, all of that. All right, guys. So let's move on here to the Magical Kenya Open, and we talk about this. This is a phenomenal event. I grew up as a long distance runner. That's what my sport of choice was. Of course, I golfed as well, but competitively, I was a long distance runner. So I always often, gravitated towards the Kenyans, the Ethiopians of the world because of their prominence and long distance. So there's a little place of Kenya in my heart because of that. I've read a lot of books about it and studied their culture and all that. So there's something there as well. But just the fact that you could be putting on the 18th green and there's a giraffe or an elephant walking in the background's pretty cool as well. And I know Jake and I reference that a lot. The last few seasons, I shouldn't say few, the last majority of the seasons have been at the Mohaga Golf Club, and that was there since 2022. Now we're at the Karen Golf Country Club, which also hosted. Oh gosh, I'm trying to see here. What? No, 2019. It started in 2019, I think, at the Karen Country Club. 2020 was removed, and then it was at the Mojave Golf Club through 2022, I believe. No, Karen Golf Club. Yeah, 2019, 2020 was the Karen Golf Club where we are this now. Everything else was the Mojave. Now we're back at the Karen Golf Club. Makes sense, everyone? Glad I can clear that up for you. But we're at the Nairobi, Kenya, and this is the first of three stops in this little African swing here before we move to South Africa for two events. The field this week, and this is kind of that stretch where you're going to find some bad fields, right? This is one of those events that the big names, the DP World Tour often skips, and it makes for a fun event though because we're going to see some of the up and comers and some names that we're not going to see the Patrick Cantlay or excuse me Patrick Reeds or the Jaden Shappers who've won 95% of the events up to this point on the DP World Tour. So we have some other names. We have the likes of Callum Hill, Freddie Schott, Dan Bradbury, Sean Norris, Wenye Ding, and Angel Yura, Casey Jarvis, and Michael Hollick kind of leading the charge here. Jaquez Kroiwitz, if I said that correctly, I think I did, comes into the defending champion, although at the Mohaga Golf Club, held off John Perry by 2 strokes, and Kroiwitz is back to defend his title. If I remember correctly, Jake, you were on him last year at this event.
Yep, 80 to 1,
I was
I
gonna say a pretty
believe.
big number as well, yeah.
Yep.
Darius Van Drill in 2024 and Jorge Campillo in 2023 are former winners of this event, although at Mojave. Then we have Justin Harding and Guido Miglozzi in 2019, who are teeing up this week, who also won this event at the Karen Golf Club. So the Karen Golf Course, was designed by British Army officer Remy Martin and opened in 1933. This was also the first course in all of Kenya to feature grass greens and annually ranks as one of the best golfing experiences in the entire country. It is constructed on the former coffee plantation of the Karen Blixen Estate, in which the course, of course, shares a name. A par 72 at roughly 6,900 yards. A mature course that features tree-lined fairways with strategically placed hazards, promising to offer a stern challenge for any shot on the course. Water comes into play on holes 12, 14, and 18. The course opens with a long 456-yard par 4 that often plays against the wind. From there, hole 4 is another featured hole as it described as a picturesque setting that demands accuracy. The green is guarded by water and offers a challenge to even the most skilled of golfers. The finishing hole, hole 18, is a challenging 552-yard dogleg left par 5. Water guards the left side of the hole. The green itself is elevated and heavily contoured, offering a grandstand finish, making it a memorable end to the event. Jake, anything to add here about the Karen Golf Club?
No, I think you covered it all.
There we go. All right, Jake, I got five guys. I think you have, what, four?
Four, and
Five?
we've got one crossover, I believe.
Yes. All right. So that's my. I'm looking at my article here and I have a misspell. But anyway, I'll kick things off here with my first guy. Then I'm going Ewan Ferguson, 31 to 1. It's so weird to say numbers like that, but DraftKings kind of giving us those extra values this year. Played this event in 2021 at the Karen Golf Club where he missed the event, but does have some experience at this golf course. However, he has played this event at the Mohaga Golf Club rather well. He was eighth in 2022, 47th in 2023, and T7th in 2024. Knows his way around this course in this area. They're different golf courses, but they're rather similar. They're very similar approaches and type of golf courses that is the Mohaga to the Karen. So I'm kind of okay with comparing the two golf courses and using past results there in the area. And they're both tree lined, tight positional golf courses, nonetheless, and in the same area. 24th is the last outing at the Qatar Masters. Missed the cut at the Bahrain, but placed 33 at the Hero Dubai, 20th at Dubai, and 10th at the Nedbank. Currently 12th on tour and approach, 23rd tee to green, 44th in green regulation, 60th in scrambling, 63rd in accuracy, 78th in putting, and 109th in sand save percentages. Ewan Ferguson is he's a staple of the DP World Tour. He's a veteran, a guy who's been around for a rather long time, has a few victories to his name, and one of those guys that's just live every single week, right? Again, I do think it is noted that he does deal with vertigo, I believe. And there are some weeks where it bothers him more and he's completely out of events. And those weeks that he is not affected, he goes out and wins by, 3, 4 strokes. Don't know what we're going to get, but Ewan Ferguson knows his way around the area. Some good results at this event, not this course, this event, the last few seasons. And stats wise, line up well and 31 to 1. Happy to put my card there.
Yeah, Nate, I was between him and our crossover play for the last guy on my card, and I just crossed out Ferguson, but I totally see the angle there. Solid putter, solid on approach, especially as of recent, very accurate off the tee. Just an all-around solid pick in a weaker field. These numbers are pretty enticing. Of course, Angel Oyora, a guy who's like 10 to 1, he's going to be 10
Oh
to
my
1 in every
God,
single.
insane. I mean, for a guy who hasn't, I mean, he's had some good finishes, but he hasn't
Yeah.
like legitimately sniffed a victory on the DP World Tour.
Yeah.
And he's 10,
So
11, 12 to 1. It blows my mind.
yeah, and it helps the numbers on guys like Ferguson, who I believe have more win equity than
Oh,
him. So
100%.
I mean, we'll be eating our words when he wins his first DP World Tour
Oh,
title
yeah.
this week. But no, I totally like the play there, and I again, very healthy number on him. I think it's a good one.
Perfect.
Moving into our crossover play, because that is the headline of mine. I got him at 34 to 1. It's Dan Bradbury. Where did you get him at?
I think I'm 35.
Perfect. Okay.
Yep.
Um, He's been phenomenal off the tee, and that's what I edged him over Ferguson because he's been both long and accurate off the tee. What do we know about Bradbury? He brings those irons every single week. Those irons are consistent and they gain rather strong. I believe that is how you win tournaments like this. The putter and the short game leave a lot to be desired, generally speaking. But 3 of his last 6 starts, he's gained with that putter and a pretty considerable amount, over half a stroke per round. His last finish at the Qatar Masters was a T5. So coming in on some good form. He's never played this event or at this course, so that is something to note. But again, I think that his game is the right fit for this Karen Country Club here, or Karen Golf Club, sorry, whichever one it is,
I think it's
to
Karen
play
Golf
well.
Course.
Golf course, I missed it completely, but no, I think his game is going to line up really well this week, and he has a really good chance to win at again another healthy number.
Oh yeah, not much for me to add here. Dan Bradbury, 35 to 1, second on my card, so I went long shots after those two picks to headline the field. But yeah, those are kind of the two premier talents outside of like the Angel Yora, in my opinion, the Fergusons and the Bradburys of the world. Like I said, fresh off a T5, his last outing, stats wise, lines up. The putter is about tour average right now, which is kind of the problem with Bradbury. So I'd like to see that there. And scrambling, maybe a little less than desired, but I think with the tee to green, the approach game, and off the tee, it's going to carry on this week. And again, kind of the premier talent, in my opinion, of this field.
Yep.
All right, Jake. So I'm going to do a thing that I'm probably going to regret greatly. 65 to 1, Sebastian Soderberg. So I told myself I would never play this guy again after I held a Sebastian Soderberg ticket at the Scandinavian Mixed in 2024. when he had a 9 stroke lead with 17 holes to go, and then he went on to lose to a girl. That's how I describe DP World Tour betting to people who ask me. And I bring up that instance where, I had a guy with a 9 stroke lead, 17 holes to play, and he lost to a woman. If that makes sense to anyone. But yeah, Dan Bradbury, no, excuse me, Dan Bradbury, Sebastian Soderberg, again, he's currently sixth on tour in scrambling and sand saves, 26 in green regulations, 51st in putting, 52nd tee to green, 57th on approach, accuracy 81st, T68 last year at this event, missed the cut in 2021 at the Karen, fifth in his last out of the Qatar Masters, missed the cut at the Bahrain and Hero. But a good performance, 65 to 1. And I know Sebastian Soderberg is a much better golfer than any of these numbers or his performances since that crumbling at the Scandinavian mix, which it demoralized him mentally. He has not been the same golfer and kind of, went away for a while. He disappeared for a bit, and rightfully so. Hopefully, he's back to where he needs to be. I think he's won twice on the DP World Tour, at least once along the way. But this is a guy who has phenomenal irons when they're on. And yeah, it's just takes a matter of getting back there, getting yourself mentally fixed to go on to compete this golf event. But 65 to 1 with a T5 last week, I think was enough meat on the bone for me to lick the wounds and go back to Sebastian Soderberg after I said I never would.
Yeah, Nate, you're on your own with this one. I cannot back this play because of what he did. And I know that you mentioned at the top of your breakdown here that you'd be kicking yourself. So he at the Qatar Masters, he gains a lot with the putter, over a stroke per round. So if that's clicking and the irons click, and he can get out of his own way mentally, I think that he has a really good chance to win. But that takes a lot of effort on his end. So we'll see how it happens this week, Nate. I'll leave you with that one. But I'm gonna move into my next play here. It's Callum Hill. I got him at 35. That was the first click off the my first click this morning. Sorry. Um, I saw the 35 back-to-back runner-up finishes at the Bapco Bahrain Championship, then at the Qatar Masters, and I said this guy is in way too good a form, and I clicked 35. Then I dove into his player profile, and I was happy to see that at Karen Country Club, in 2019, he had a T66. In 2021, he had a T8 at this event. And apparently, there was another event at the Karen Country Club in 2021 called the Kenya Savannah Classic. He finished T3 there. So, two top 10 finishes at this golf course with back to back runner up finishes. His irons have been great, and that's generally an area he struggles with. He is a phenomenal putter, like one of the best on the
Mhm.
DP World Tour. We know we get that week in and week out. So what do I need for him to win? It's to get off the tee in a respectable fashion. And I think that he could do it. I mean, back-to-back runner-up finishes, the form is there, course history is there. He's my first click. He's going to be awfully popular this week, but I think there's a lot of meat at the bone at that number.
Yeah, another Scotsman who's been a staple of the DP World Tour for some time, and you mentioned it. He is phenomenal with a flat stick and gets that thing rolling. He can pour him in from distance and keep himself in contention. Again, you mentioned the irons there. As long as they can stay hot, I think he has a real chance. And you mentioned he's going to be pretty popular this week because of what he's been doing as of late. All right, my next two plays here are long shots, so I'm not going to bore you too much with this one. This first one, Jason Scrivener's a guy I'm super high on, at least stats wise. He's currently second on tour and approach, 15th in scrambling and green regulations. He's 20th tee to green, 21st in accuracy, and 74th out of the sand. The problem for him is the putter, 123 in strokes gained putting. Talk about it all the time. Just needs a few of those putts to fall in his favor, especially being second on tour and approach and scrambling tee to green, top 20 there. 24th last week at the Qatar Masters, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago, last event. 16th at Bahrain, missed the cut at Hero Dubai. 16th or 46th at the Crown Australian, 41st at the BMW Australian. Make his tournament debut this week, but 90 to 1 for a guy, a stat merchant, as you will, with the approach and tee to green numbers. It's always going to pop your models with tee to green and approach numbers that good of note. The putter is the problem, right? We'll see what this Australian can do along the way.
Getting he's actually gained with that putter in those last two starts. So if he could build off of that, I think 90 to 1 is a great number. And I think he's very live this week. I really like that shout. I'm going to see if I can find some free play to put on him this week because I like it.
Yeah, you mentioned 80 to 1 last week with or last season, Corey Witch winning this event. So this is an event that Darius Van Drill, I believe, was 80 or 90 the season before when he won. I know I had a first round leader on him at 60 to 1, so he had to be somewhere in that 70, 80 range along the way. So this is an event that those long shots really have a chance to compete at.
Yep, agreed. Moving into my last play here, it's the guy that we've talked about, Jacques Perez Cruishwick. I was on him last year. I'm not ready to take my finger off the button
No.
because he tends to play some awesome golf in Kenya. At the Karen Golf Course, he has two top five finishes. Those both came in 2021 at the Magical Kenya Open and then the Kenya Savannah Classic. He won this event last year. Speaking on his recent form, T57 at the Guitar Masters, not so great. Happy to throw that out. He had a T19 at the Dubai Desert Classic before that, and a T15 at the Dubai Invitational before that. So I'd argue he's coming in on some good form to a golf course that he's played well at. He won this event last year. He'll be defending his title. Uh, he's just an all-around solid golfer, and I'm not ready to give up on him. I believe I got him at 56 to 1. That's a big enough number for me to take a shot on him again.
Yeah, no, especially being, the defending champion, you're still at 50, 55, 60, somewhere in that range. And this is a guy who we're going to place bets on, both of us, throughout the season, no matter what, because he's a quality golfer. And, I know we're in Kenya, but this is similar golf to South Africa. We're going to see some South Africans pop here. It's going to be a pretty dominant, not dominant, but there's going to be a good South African presence here. We're moving to South Africa for two events after this. So there is a correlation between this event and some South African golf, as we saw Corey Witch winning a season ago. Love to play here, Jake. And again, you were on him last season, so why not try to double dip with him?
Yep, that's the hope.
All right. Speaking of South Africans, I'll round out here of my long shot who I've played once before, and I'll probably play a few more times this season. Is Jonathan Broomhead at 150 to 1. A guy, again, a big number for a guy with some quality performances and some good stats. He's currently sixth on tour in sand saves, 25th in green relations, 31st in scrambling, 34th on approach, 40th in putting, 50th in accuracy, and 56th tee to green. So all those stats I talked about, he's top 56 in all of them. Missed the cut last week, or excuse me, last outing at the Qatar Masters. Prior to that, 13th at the Bahrain, 52nd at the AF Asia Marathis Open, 23rd at the Alfred Dunhill, 33rd at the BMW Australian Chip or Australian PGA Championship. Again, making his tournament debut this week, but a 150 to 1. I mean, you can't really say much about that in this field. A guy that is a good iron player and some quality performances along the way.
Yeah, Nate, nothing to add. I think it's a good call and can't argue. Like you said, long shots are live at this tournament, so it's good to have a couple.
There we go. All right, guys. And if you're looking for some more golf content, of course, check out ootrough.com. I have my LPGA, Honda LPGA Thailand article live on there as well. No live this week, but we'll have some hotel planner stuff from Andrew as well. Probably by the time you're listening to this, no Corn Ferry this week, but man, we have you covered on Out of the Rough from PJ Tour, DP World Tour, LPGA, Live Golf, Corn Ferry Tour, and Hotel Planet Tour. Top to bottom, we got you covered left and right between Jake, myself, and Andrew. We got a quality team here that knows their stuff. At least we like to believe we do, right, Jake?
Yep.
So, yeah. And then next week, you mentioned it, we have the Cognizant Classic on the PGA Tour. We'll head to the Invitec South African Open Championship, I believe, next week on the DP World Tour. Look at me, Jake. Look at the events before the podcast. Uh, it's trying to new year, new me, even though we're 2 months deep of this year. But either
We got
way, we have that coming up for us. So one more time, Jake, before we hop off here, where can people find you on social media?
Yep, you can follow me on X at JakeOOTR, where I share all my outright betting cards. Those are both posted there, so be sure to give those a like. I'd also encourage you to join the Out of the Rough Discord, 100% free to join with no hidden paywalls. The community includes 270 plus members and is an excellent free resource to have at your disposal. Just reach out to Nate or myself and we'll get you the link to join.
I forgot to mention at the top of the hour, we also uh, have a newsletter, a weekly newsletter where we compile everything we offer in the week in one convenient location, from every podcast link to article link, exclusive content, including the placement chart for the respective PGA Tour course that week on there as well. Links to everything you could probably think of. So if you're interested in that, shoot Jake or I a good email via DM on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, wherever you want to hit us up there. We'll get you added as well. I think we are at 170 people on that newsletter as well. So the rough is booming. We got stuff left and right. We're working hard behind the scenes to get all this golf content out to you guys, including these podcasts each and every week. Love to do it for you guys. But if you're looking to follow myself, Nate, you can find. I messed that all up, Jake. I don't know. You can find myself, Nate, on Twitter at NateOOTR. Visit ootrough.com for more golf content. Until next time, guys, we'll see you.